However, per the Boy Scouts guidance from National, board review should consist of 3 to 6 adults. An adult is someone 21 years of age or greater. You can, and you have a lot of adults that you can pull from your unit, and they may be hesitant, but if you have a couple seasoned board review members, they could help out to ease the fears of a new person who hasn't participated in a board review. So some of the rules are if the scout masters or assistant scout masters or a committee chair's son or daughter that's going for the board review, that particular leader cannot sit on the board review. And in addition, the parents for that child cannot sit on that board review. Let's see here. And they ask that, and because it really changed the dynamics, a parent of a scout or a relative should not sit on the board review in any capacity, even if they're just observing. Now, there's some leeway. If you had a reason why you wanted to allow that, I would direct you to the guide for scouting, and they offer when it would be appropriate to allow a parent or a relative to observe. So it was offered to me that we have from Troop 911, Adriana has a success story that you could share, perhaps.
Yes, hi. I'm Adriana Araujo from Troop 911. I'm the committee chair. We have held a couple of virtual board of reviews, successful. In the boards, we have 3 registered adults, so they are compliant with YPT and background check and all the requirements to be registered. They've all gone pretty well. The boys were dressed in their Class A uniform, as they should. They seem comfortable to be speaking in Zoom. Like, I think they're already used to this business now. The deliberation was done after meeting with the scout, and then came back 5 minutes later. The only feedback that I got that they would, the parents that volunteer for the board will change is they schedule the appointments between the different boys too far away. So they suggest that for the next time they'll just have the boys wait in a waiting room in case they need a little bit more time with the current scout. Other than that, everything seemed really easy and successful.
The idea of a waiting room is really good. I like that. It's kind of interesting. If you haven't had the opportunity to really dig into the guide to scouting, there's lots of good information in there. And one of the little tidbits is a board review is not really meant to be a retest of the scouts' knowledge. It's more to find out, how they're doing in the program, how the program could be better. Are they demonstrating scout spirit? What are the things that they did do to meet the requirements, things like that. But not necessarily a retest, show me how to do this, not. And if you don't show me and you don't successfully do it, it's inappropriate that they would be failed from a board review for that reason. However, you did notice or mention wearing a uniform. That's as much of a uniform as they have, which is helping them to remember Scout spirit. So I had another thing here. Scouting has always allowed a remote board review. It's not, this is even before COVID. It's really not recommended. The opportunity for a scout to meet in front of adults is pretty important to a scout's growth, and so face-to-face is certainly better, but at this time that's not necessarily possible. So I'm taking from the Guide to Scouting this particular section, and I left out one that I felt wasn't important to this discussion today. You could go there and read them all, and I pared these down significantly so they'd fit on one slide. So the local council grants permission to hold a video conferencing for an Eagle board review. And only through the local council, a troop couldn't decide that. However, troops get to decide if they're going to do video conferencing for a border review. That's left to the troop to decide. They asked that all members for the border review would be visible. So as an example, you can't see me, so I should not sit on that board review. I need to find a different way to participate. And the scout also needs to be visible to the border review. So that's, and then no one within hearing range. And so if you had a parent that thought that they were going to participate by observing and they were within hearing range, that's really not acceptable to the guidelines, and actually probably be appropriate to discuss that with parents beforehand if you felt that you had a parent that was going to be overzealous and try to participate, because this is the Scouts board review, not the parents. So for Scouts under the age of 18, there's still the 2 deep requirement, and the easiest way to do that is have the parents or guardians present at the start, and then when you have a full board review panel, ask that the parents would then excuse themselves. Then once the review is over, you would ask the scout to come, have the parents come back in and, participate, and assuming that the scout passed, this would be an opportunity to celebrate, congratulate the scout, make them feel accomplished. And then after the completion of that, then it's the responsibility of the board review to notify the advance scouts passing or not passing of the board review. And finally, this was mentioned earlier, BSA does not want any recording of youth. That's a whole legal issue that they're going to avoid by not allowing it. Okay. So, is there any comments or thoughts or questions from anybody?
So, this is Brett Armini with Troop 905. We have, I'm the committee chair. We have a volunteer that organizes our border reviews. And one of the tidbits or nuggets that's come out of this is, one, it's become very easy to get more adults involved with the troop. And because it's just so easy to do. The second is that we have actually, I believe she started adopting of calling scout parents who've never participated and getting them YPT trained and then into the border review, such that they get more exposure.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. And one of the neat things about that is most parents don't ever think about aims to scouting. What are we doing? They just think that this is fun for a kid to go scouting, right? Well, they don't understand that we're trying to build character, leadership, and all that is accomplished through our aims. And participating in board reviews, these adults will then get to start seeing it as a bigger picture. And I actually have seen parents get hooked on the program once they realize that. So that's a great idea. Anything else on this particular topic? If not, so that we can make our timeline. Service hours. This question has come up in our roundtables, actually. So service hours are still needed. There's been, you've probably all seen that there's been a couple of changes to COVID. As an example, camping requirement has had some changes. Camping merit badge. And the swimming-related activities to rank, if you haven't seen that, those have changed a little bit, and we can talk about those. But the requirements for service hours has not changed, and it varies from 1 to 6 hours. And I left off the Eagle because that's a whole different topic of a service project and not hours per se. So the Boy Scout Handbook states that a service project is all about doing a special good turn, and it shows the spirit of scouting. As always, service hours are approved by the Scoutmaster, and quite honestly, that's about the bulk of the requirement. So, within the service hours do not have to be scouting specific. They can be outside of the scouting world, as long as it's within the thoughts of doing a good turn and demonstrating Scout spirit. So with that, I went out and did a little bit of looking for some ideas, and so improve, here's some ones that I saw, and these will all work within a COVID environment. Improve wildlife habitat by picking up trash. So as an example, here in Livermore, we have the Arroyo River with the trail all along it. Scout would go out with his family on a walk, grab a garbage bag, pick up trash. That I can't imagine any Scoutmaster would say that that's not a worthy service project. Repair the home of an elderly person. If you have a neighbor that's elderly, and repair could be something as simple as actually, say, mow their lawn or help them out. During the time of COVID, the elderly certainly are more at risk. So perhaps they're not getting as much done around their house. There's a task that could be done. That would certainly be, in my mind, an acceptable service project. A pretty neat one was, I never thought about this, so I have a past neighbor that's in a nursing home now, and her children have been telling me how it's like they go to jail, right? They can go and visit, but they have to talk through a wall. They can't actually go and visit their mother in the nursing home. They're very strict trying to control the spread of the virus. That being the case, you could put together letters or something fun like that and send it to one of the local nursing homes. That would certainly be a good service project. If you had an elderly neighbor, my mom, she needs help. My kids and my other siblings' kids have been going to the grocery store for her and bringing her groceries. That would certainly be an acceptable one. Sending thank you letters to the local hospital. So this one, maybe in my mind, is a little stretched, but calling your loved ones and getting them to talk and tell them about their life and making them, because I certainly know my mom has been missing her interaction with her larger family. But this was one that was offered, and if your Scoutmaster would approve it, that would certainly fit in there. Now I don't know Operation Gratitude, but this is one that was suggested. They put together paracord bracelets and they were sent off to troops. So with a little research, you could probably find organizations that would take some craft that has been put together. So those are a couple of ideas I found, and it was offered to me that Dennis from Troop 900 may have a success story that he could share.
Yeah, hi, this is Dennis Palucci with Troop 900, of course, in Livermore. Tagging on to the Board of Review and the Scoutmaster Conference, we had a very aggressive engagement model for the Scouts since about March, rank advancement and things like that. But one of the things that we had noticed was how were we going to get the service hours done. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Orthman, and he's going to talk about the program that he set up for the Scouts to get them to visit Livermore a little bit more in a more personal basis.
Let's see. So I'm off mute. That's good. First start. Hi, I'm Jeff Orthman. I'm an ASM with Troop 900. So I was a member of the Sharks organization, and Sharks trying to be involved and being up on the community and not being in their revamped playoff mode, which is trying to stay relevant. And they sent out an idea for tidy up your territory. So there was a week in August where they were doing every day for the week. I organized with our leadership and then with the boys to put together 5 different park areas to go and just pick up trash. With that, they had a deal where they had a partnership where they were selling these little handy trash grabbers at a discounted rate on Amazon. So I bought about 20 of them to donate to the troop for like $9 a piece. Between the 5 days that we went out, we did Carnegie Hall Park in Livermore. We did Big Trees Park by Arroyo Seco for an hour. We did Almond Avenue Park in Livermore for an hour. Went out to Shadow Cliffs, did a 2-mile hike and a 2-hour trash pickup, and then went out to the backside of Del Val rather, and did a 2-mile hike picking up trash up the backside, up to the oak tree, looking over the dam. And between that, we put together between like 27 different people picking up trash of over like 56 hours of service. A number of the boys were able to knock off all other hours for their life requirement or star requirements. And it was really nice to just get out there. We could socially distance. We wore our Class B troop shirts, and then some boys decorated their hats to look like sharks, which is what the Sharks had asked them to do for doing their service project. We had to tidy up the Sharks with the Sharks logo sign. And it was just a nice way for the boys to get out and, see each other, but not be too close, and just get back to some of that. Another idea that I would like to pass on to some people, we tried to do a food drive. I know I contacted a number of you trying to do a virtual food drive this year with the district, and because Alameda County wasn't accepting food at the time. But there's a couple places that if you wanted to do a troop service project of raising food, there's the Twin Valley, Tri-Valley Haven one at Junction Avenue School that they take in donations. And then the Sutton girls around the corner from me, off in the girls' names here in town, if you look on Facebook, they'll take, some donations for like a pantry box to donate. So if you guys wanted to, do a small patrol food drive or a troop food drive and do hours that way, it would be a great way to get some hours in and get some stuff in and just, get the Scouts out doing what Scouts like to do.
That's excellent. It's actually quite easy because the total amount of hours required per rank really isn't that big. So if a Scout is motivated, you can certainly knock it out.
Yeah,
and I would suggest. Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
We put in a total hours of 7. If you went to every event, you'd get 7 hours. So it's a service and a conservation project tied into one. So one Scout was able to get all 6 of the hours he needed for his next rank up by doing, all 5 days, 7 hours total. So it was kind of nice to knock it all out.
Yep. And as a reminder, for any unit, when you doing service hours, try to remember, if you can, log them through Good Turn Daily. The National likes us to do that. Okay, is there any other thoughts, or anybody else wants to add any success stories in? No? Okay. I'll go ahead and move forward.
The other thought is that I noticed that when we were doing the unit Journey to Excellent forms last year, they didn't necessarily want it for camping, but for service hours, they want you to log in the adult hours too. So
yes, absolutely.
That or marking that down, keep track of that
as well. That's right. That is correct. They want all the hours of everyone involved. So this is actually, if I recall correctly, really my last slide. And which is other success stories, and it was offered that Jim McMillan from Troop 941 may have something to share. So Jim, are you here right now?
Yes, I am. Hi, everyone. I'm Jim McMillan. So I've talked with Mike Ransom about an activity we did this last weekend, and it was mostly a kind of a level of engagement story. We have just recently started meeting in person as patrols. We had our first virtual troop meeting, but the patrols gathered in different locations. And then we connected in by Zoom, but had ranged from 2 to 3 scouts up to 5 scouts at a particular location. And about 2/3 of the patrols, we're a fairly big troop, so we've got 7 patrols, and we had 4 of them that gathered together in this way to be able to be part of the troop meeting. So that was pretty cool. So that was on Monday, and that was the first one that we've done like that, and planning to continue that as we go into the fall. And most of them are meeting at parks or outdoors at one of the patrol members' homes, and doing the social distance and masks, and it seemed to work pretty well. And the participation we get virtually on our troop meetings is probably 60% of the troops involved. And so we had similar percentage, but now we've moved from a portion of those, basically about 1/3 of those being together in a small group in their patrols in person, and the other 2/3 online. So I expect as we continue on with this program, through the fall, that we'll be able to see more in-person gathering, because the boys that did get together had a really great time and talked about it with the others. And on the Saturday before that was the first time we've done a whole troop activity, and I expected that we might get maybe 1/3 show up to attend this, and it was an Eagle Trail that we hosted out at PMS at the track, so we could use the track for doing the mile distance run. And we ended up with having to have 4 different groups of boys to be able to make sure that we didn't ever exceed more than 12 in a group. And they set up in stations that were a couple hundred feet away from each other, and the group would stay together during that time. But it was I was blown away that we had over half of the troops show up to be able to go through this. Most of them being the younger ones that were really eager for accomplish some of their rank advancement activities that they needed to have other people around to do. And I guess the other thing that I'll just mention, one of the things I was concerned about is how do you practice some of the first aid skills that are part of those rank advancements in a socially distanced environment. So I looked online, and NOLS, National Outdoor Leadership Skill, has some great guidance and a video that kind of talks about the best practices they're putting together as they're getting their wilderness first aid sessions back started. So we applied that guidance to how we ran that first aid section. And again, the boys did great with keeping distance as appropriate, and whenever they had to come closer to each other, having the glasses, the mask, the gloves, and then cleaning with disinfectant any items that they used, and hand sanitizer as they finished up their work. So I think it was as was mentioned earlier, the boys are definitely very resilient, and they're eager to get back together. And so we just keep trying to find ways that we can facilitate that.
Hey, Jim, what was that first aid model you used?
NOLS, National Outdoor Leadership Skill.
Yeah, they're pretty well known. Yeah. The idea of having smaller groups join together and then have a bigger meeting via Zoom of the smaller groups is kind of neat. Did you have a problem getting parents to allow their scouts to participate on these smaller group levels, or that for the most part you found that the parents were saw that you guys were covering the bases and there wasn't really much of an issue getting together?
Yeah, that's what my experience was. I'd say that there's definitely different camps of where people are at, and that's why we're going to continue to have a virtual means for anybody that still wants to participate to be able to participate. In fact, that we talked about just as we go forward, when we do get back to meeting in person, we're still going to make sure that we've not got all the patrols present so we can keep our numbers down. We're a little over 100 scouts at this point. So yeah, we're we would have 2 or 3 patrols participate when we as we're just looking out farther in the future, and then participate together in person when we meet as a troop, but have the other ones still online as small groups, so that anybody that's not wanting to physically be in proximity to anybody else still has the means to be able to stay connected with the troop. But what I've seen from the parents is that a lot of them are very supportive, and they're seeing that we're doing the right things to keep the boys safe, so they're letting their kids participate.
Got it. One of the activities I had thought about was Troop 900. One of the scouts some time back had created an orienteering course with the targets and the maps. It was out in the Sigmundstern Grove area. And I was thinking about, you could actually go up and set the course and then say, troop, we're going to do this on this day. And you give everybody staggered time so that you kind of have some distancing, but maybe, people are seeing each other on the trail out there and they wave and say hi as they're passing by. So there's ways of being creative and coming up with some different activities that will certainly qualify as a fun boy-led type activity. Are there any other? Oh, what's that? Go ahead.
You could set up the geocaching where you have one patrol hide the geocache, or every patrol hides a geocache, and then they can go out and find each other for the geocaching merit badge. You could, tie something like that in, and then make it a patrol competition. Who could find the fastest? That's
actually a pretty fun idea. I like that. Each subunit gets to develop their own geocache. That's kind of a neat idea. I think I'm going to steal that idea and present it at Roundtable next month.
Please do. But
Okay.
when you give proper credit, it's two ends. Two ends.
Is there anybody else that has some success stories or thoughts they'd like to throw out?
Yeah. But you know what? I do have a suggestion that troops might want to do, and that would be either a treasure hunt or, go on a similar to geocaching, but if they don't have the tools to do geocaching, they can do a treasure hunt by going around the city or going around parks and identifying things that have been identified previously, like by the senior patrol leader or, somebody in the troop.
Or their rank sign-offs for plants and animals. And
exactly.
I like that idea.
And you can do that outside in the park.
Okay, great. So that's actually it for tonight, unless there's anything else anybody wants to throw out. Mike Ransom asked that if you had any comments or questions, if you wanted to, you can certainly throw in the chat and I'll capture them and throw them to Mike Ransom, or you could, if you needed an email, I can certainly give you that. Or you can bring them to Roundtable, which is only about 2 weeks off from now, I guess, a little bit more than 2 weeks. So unless there's something else, I'll go ahead and say goodnight to everybody, and that's it.